Hi, this is Lee Thurburn again, and in this video about car fleet tools, we're going to demonstrate how to import information from your bank account and then how to allocate it using the banking allocation tool. So the first thing that we're going to do is over on the left-hand side, go to the banking tab, click there, and then click on the upload CSV transaction file. All right, now this will take you to a screen where it gives you a little bit of instructions, but you'll want to select the bank account that you've already created. So I'm going to go ahead and add the bank account that I have created for this, and then I'm going to click on Choose File. Now, when I click on Choose File, it will open a file window using your computer, and I'm just going to jump down to where I store those files, bank exports. Now these are a list of exports that I have made of different periods of time of information from my bank. Your bank will allow you, without doubt, will allow you to export data in typically one of two file types, either to a CSV file or to a QuickBooks file format. Choose the CSV file format. So I'm going to pick a month, and I'm going to go ahead and open that file, and then I'm going to load the file, which puts it in the system to be allocated. Okay, now I can go now. Oh, first, the next thing. Okay, now it allows me to map the names of the file, the columns on the CSV file to the data import names. So we're going to select the date. So you'll see that it says imported field name date. We're going to assign it to the CarFleet Systems file name or field name called date. Then we're going to assign number to check number. We're going to assign description to description. And then we're going to put the debit to the debit field and the credit to the credit field. Now, you may have a slightly different process. Some exports just give you a transaction amount field, in which case you could use that. But we're going to go ahead and click process. Almost all banks use debits and credits. Okay, so now that adds all of the transactions for that 1 month period into a transaction assignment screen. Now, you can find the transaction assignment screen by going over to banking, opening banking, and then it'll give you two choices. One is bank transactions or chart of accounts. Well, bank transactions is where all of the uploaded and not yet allocated or assigned transactions will be. So I'm going to go ahead and start by just clicking on the word assign, the button assign for this first one. So I'll click assign, and the system looks for similar transactions. Now, in this case, it has a number of different transactions that it has found that it thinks are similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually uncheck the transactions that don't match. So I'm doing a take 5. Take 5 is a oil change service that we have here in the North Texas DFW area market. And so I've unchecked everything other than take 5. Now, all of the take 5s are for the same process. They're for oil changes. So I'm going to go ahead and select, now it doesn't automatically, so you have to select the bank, and then you're going to go down and select expenses. We're going to go to cost of goods sold oil changes, and in this case I'm going to choose an unassigned vehicle. We're going to put all of them in the unassigned vehicle category or classification, and the reason is because I don't necessarily have all of my documentation with me right at the moment to assign these out, but I'm going to show you in just a moment how to come back and assign them to individual vehicles. All right, so these are oil changes. which we know that already, but I'm just putting a little memo in there, and I'm going to go ahead and assign them. And in just a second, they're all assigned out. And you'll see that this one now I can either archive or edit or delete. If I scroll down, there's no others on this first page, but as we come across others, they would be available to assign. So next I'm going to do racetrack. So I'm going to go ahead and assign racetrack. And in this case, it finds a whole bunch of racetracks, and all racetracks, racetrack is a gas station here in North Texas. So I'm going to go ahead and do expenses. And I don't really care about assigning, where is it? Fuel. There it is, fuel. A cost of goods sold, fuel. I don't really track fuel to an individual vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that to unassigned. And then I'll just write the word fuel, which we know what racetrack is. And now these are all being assigned. So the system automatically looks for similar transactions. Here's Circle K, similar to racetrack. So that's going to be out of this bank, and it's going to be an expense, and it's going to be a fuel expense under cost of goods sold. And again, I'm going to put it to unassigned, type fuel, and assign. So it'll assign all of those transactions, and then I'm going to come down here, AutoZone. I might buy several things from AutoZone. Oh, it's got all Kroger's. Okay, so there's apparently only one AutoZone that matches, so I'll just uncheck these because these are Kroger expenses, and then I'm going to, again, use the bank expenses. In this case, these are miscellaneous expenses, and again, I'll put it to unassigned because it's probably a supply for cleaning or something, and then I'll just type supplies and assign. And then we'll come back and we just continue this process. So Turo, here's revenue from Turo. I'm going to go ahead and click assign. These are all of the Turo revenues. This is not the place or the time, the best place or time to assign revenues for individual cars, because each one of these deposits from Turo is, it's not clear on a daily basis which vehicle you're getting ready, you're getting deposits from Turo. So I'm going to go ahead and go to income, and we're going to put it to rental income, and again I'm going to put it to unassigned, and memo will be Turo deposit. And let the system apply all of those. Then we'll come down here to another gas station, QT. Well, it's apparently the only one that it picked up. So Comerica and expenses, and this will be fuel, unassigned, and I'll put this to just fuel. And we'll come on down here. Here's a take 5 that did not get picked up automatically. So you'll see there's no other take 5s in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and uncheck all of these. We're going to find us an O'Reilly and an Aldi in just a minute, and these would not come up. But we don't want to apply this transaction type to these others. So that's Comerica, expenses. This is an oil change. And I don't know what vehicle, so I'm going to put it to unassigned. Oil change, assign. And now let's go ahead and get rid of, let's assign a bunch of Kroger. So I have a Kroger here. And if I'm, you'll see this one says Kroger FU, that's Kroger fuel. So that's going to be different. USPS, it's matching things like addresses and or zip codes. So what I want to do is I want to uncheck Kroger fuel, and that's the only Kroger fuel, because I'm actually going to apply that to fuel, and I'm going to uncheck the UPS. So we'll choose the bank again. We'll choose expenses. Actually, this isn't going to be an expense. This is going to be an equity distribution, because these are groceries, personal expenses. There's not anything related to the business. So I'll tag that memo personal expenses. All right, and then come down here and let's go to this car place of Frisco. All right, so I have a couple of things for the car place of Frisco. And I'm going to go ahead and put these all into, again, the unassigned account. Now, car place of Frisco is a repairs. So we're going to do cost of goods sold repairs. And I could assign these to a specific car, but because there's 3 of them, there's the one that's shown up here and then the 2 that have the check boxes. Because there's 3 of them, I don't actually know where they go at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and click on unassigned, and since I don't know anything about them in detail at this moment, I'm just going to put them all to repairs as a memo. But I'm going to change that in a moment. All right, so we've got a lot of different things that we've assigned out. And I want you to notice that there are 15 pages of transactions. But if you'll notice, if I click forward on to other pages, you'll see that many of the transactions on these other pages have already been assigned because of the multi-transaction assignment process. So what I'm now going to do is I'm just going to pick one of them. I'm going to go ahead and click Archive. And I'm going to archive all of the transactions that have so far been selected for archive. And you'll see that now instead of 15 pages, we have 9 pages. Okay, so I'm going to continue the process for just a little bit. I'm going to go with, say, racetrack. I'm going to click on Assign. And we have a couple more racetracks. Now, the way the system looks for similar transactions is there's a text string match percentage calculator in the rear, behind the scenes, that we've set that looks for a certain percentage of the text stream to be matched. And if it meets that threshold, then it will go ahead and mark it as a similar transaction. So in this case, we found, the original plus 2 more. So we'll go ahead and again do expenses. This is fuel. We'll put it to unassigned and just mark it as fuel. And picking up, so we'll pick up a few more transactions. Now, in the beginning, when you do transactions, there's going to be a lot of transactions that will match. But as you progressively work through the process, you'll find that fewer and fewer transactions will actually match, and you'll get to the point where every single transaction has to be uniquely assigned to an account. So, but in the beginning, you can actually shorten your list of work quite quickly. So again, Comerica Bank, Pet Supplies, this is a personal expenditure, so we're going to call it a distribution. And I might just copy this to use later. All right, so now I'm going to look for some more personal expenses. Hop Daddy is a restaurant, so I'm going to go there. That's probably the only one. So Comerica, it's a equity, distribution, personal expense. All right, here's Aldi. I know I'm going to have quite a few of those. That's a grocery store that we use. So Aldi's is going to be, again, from Comerica, equity, distribution, personal expense. And then I'll go to 7-Eleven. And we have quite a few 7-Elevens. These are all going to be assigned to fuel. So cost of goods sold, fuel, again, unassigned, and this is fuel. So the process of assigning out all of the transactions in your monthly download, you can do it weekly, there'll just be less transactions, but in your monthly download, it actually goes pretty quick. So we'll just go to unassigned, fuel, QT is a gas station. All right, and I'm going to pick another one here, Amazon. I usually have quite a few Amazons. These are almost always supplies that I'm purchasing. So expenses, we'll do, I'll call it miscellaneous expense, could rename it as supplies. And then unassigned. And I'll just do a couple of more. Here's O'Reilly. We know there's a lot of O'Reillys. So here's all the O'Reillys, or not maybe all of them, but most of them. So I'm going to go to expenses, and this will be miscellaneous expense, unassigned, and supplies. And let's see here. You know, sometimes when you're out running errands, you get hungry, so you might eat at say McDonald's. You might grab a burger at McDonald's. So I'm going to click on McDonald's. I apparently only had one, at least one at that location. So I'll do equity, distributions, personal expense. And let's see what else we have. We have AT&T bill payments. So I'll assign. So these, I got a couple of different payments for $95 to AT&T. So these are two different monthly telephone expense bills. So I'm going to come down here to T for telephone and internet. All right, so I'm gonna stop there. That's a good demonstration of how you assign things out. So I'm going to go ahead and archive these. And I just want you to see it's going to go from 9 to some sort of smaller number of pages. We'll click Archive All. And now we're down to just 8. So we archived a page worth, basically about 25 or so transactions. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how to assign transactions after you, how to allocate them out to individual vehicles after you have captured them from the banking import process. So I'm going to go over to expenses, and we're going to drill down to cost of goods sold repairs. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and allocate the individual repair expenses to specific vehicles. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I have all of the vehicles listed that I might be assigning to. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Assets, Long Term. Then I'm going to click on Vehicles and look at my vehicle list. Now I'm doing this because I know I only set up one vehicle when I did the original setup on this account. The reality is you're probably going to have more than one vehicle. So we click on the blue button to add a vehicle, and we're going to give the vehicle a title. We'll call this one Mazda CX-7. All right, and for now, just put in a 0. Pick the date or approximate date that it was purchased. 5/15/2024. And then the bank that you bought it from. And you can put the dollar amount that you paid out of the bank, which, you know, just put in a 0. And then set up Mazda. All right, now I'm going to click Submit. And that's going to actually add the Mazda to our list of vehicles. So I'm going to add one more vehicle. And we'll call this one VW Tiguan. Okay, and again, 0. And the date, let's see, we'll just put this down as 06/30/24. And we'll do the Bank of Comerica, 0, and description, set up Tiguan. All right, so now we have 3 different vehicles set up. There's the default category of unassigned and 3 different vehicles that we have set up. Now, don't worry about the dollar amounts. I'm going to show you a little bit later under vehicle or asset management how you can get everything set up correctly for these vehicles. But right now we're focusing on assigning expenses out to individual vehicles. So now that we've got our fleet fleshed out, I'm going to go back over to expenses. And then I'm going to scroll down to find repairs. So I'm going to click on repairs. And now I'm going to edit the first one. And so again, we'll pick the date and we'll put allocate 040124A. This will be to expense, repairs, and now I'm going to pick a specific vehicle. I'll put this to the Volkswagen Jetta. All right, now this is an expense. We know that the repair is 1130.89, so we'll put 1130.89. And because we have the invoice right next to us, we're going to put repair AC compressor. And I'm going to put the miles in here, and just put the miles. So now I have a notation as to the miles. I'm going to add the entry, and you can see that now we have two debits. One is for the repairs to the VW Jetta, and the other is just repairs. So we're going to delete the initial entry, and now these two are back in sync, and we're going to go ahead and click submit. When the system refreshes, we'll come back and we'll see that we now have a Volkswagen Jetta for those repairs. So let's just go through each one of these. And so now I'm going to do allocate 041124A. We're going to check expenses, and this is repairs, and we're going to check a different vehicle, Mazda CX-7. And this will be for $645, and we're going to call this repair front brakes, and we'll just put down 125,667 miles, and we're going to go ahead and add the entry, and you'll see again that debits are in there twice. The first one can be removed because that's the old entry. It's now in balance. We go ahead and submit. And now we have both the Volkswagen Jetta and the Mazda shown. And a little bit of description shows the information. So now I'm going to go ahead and assign the last one. And I'm going to make this allocate 042524A. Whoops, I got too many. I got fat fingers. And we're now going to go to expenses, repairs. And we're going to go ahead and choose the Mazda CX-7 again. And this is 298 point. And then I'm going to just make something up for this. Okay, so this is going to be for replace driver power window motor. And I don't remember what the miles are, but I'm going to add a few. So 127,890. Okay, miles. And now we're going to go ahead and add the entry. And again, we have to remove the original one so that it's in balance. And now because it's in balance, we can submit it. And when the screen refreshes, let's click submit. Maybe I didn't do that. Oh, it's 09. It won't allow me to submit because it's not 09. So I need to adjust that one. That's kind of a good point to show. So we'll go ahead and do expense, and we'll do repairs, and we'll go ahead and do the Mazda again, 298.09. Okay, so now we can add, and now it's in balance, and now we can submit it. And now when it comes back, you'll see that we have, basically allocated all of these expenses out on a per vehicle basis. So that is how you use how you allocate expenses to individual vehicles. So if we want to, we can now go back over to expenses, and we could very much go through and come down and allocate all of these things, like say oil changes. So you can see I've got a lot of oil changes here. So if I go ahead and click on oil changes, it goes to the oil changes list. and you can see they're all unassigned vehicles. Okay, so again, I can assign each one of these vehicles. Oh, looky here, QT Frisco got into the oil changes. Well, that's actually a mistake. That should be fuel. So I can go ahead and correct that by clicking Edit, and I can delete the oil change. And this is, I'll just call it allocate 040424A, and this is going to be an expense. This actually should have been into fuel, and it should be to unassigned, and the dollar amount is $3.78. And so I'll go ahead and add the entry, balanced, click submit. And so now we have allocated a mistaken or an error to the correct category. And then I'm going to go ahead and just assign these to individual vehicles. So I'll go ahead and allocate 040124B. Okay, now this will be to expenses. This will be to oil changes. And now I'm going to choose a vehicle, Volkswagen Jetta. And then I'll put in the dollar amount, 44.08. I'll save it, delete the original entry, and then submit. And now we're going through the process of assigning individual expenses to the vehicles that they relate to. And so when I go through this process, I'll have a stack of invoices for oil changes from the month. And as I pick up an invoice, I'll say, oh, here's one for $99.76. I just found the $99.76, so I'll come over and I'll say, well, looking at this one, okay, looking at this one, I know that it relates to the Mazda. So I'll go ahead and pick oil changes, and then I'll assign it to the Mazda, and I'll put in the dollar now. Go ahead and add the entry, and then get rid of the old entry, and then go ahead and submit it. And then when we come back, we'll see that, again, that one is now assigned to the Mazda. Now, that's basically how you allocate expenses out to individual. Now, when you import expenses, or transactions, so I'll go back over to banking. And let's say I have an AutoZone expense here, and I know this relates to a particular vehicle. So I can click on Assign. I'll go ahead and select the bank, and then I'll select the expense. And I'll go ahead and say this is for miscellaneous supplies, but I know it's for a particular vehicle. It's for the Tiguan because maybe I bought some refrigerant to recharge the AC system. So okay, so a refrigerant for AC system recharge. So I'll assign that individual expense to that individual vehicle, and I can do that while I'm importing if I want to. All right, so that's basically how you import and assign expenses. Go give it a try, and just let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for your time.